What's up, everybody? KleverKrok back for week 4 of the GTA Season 4. Now, unfortunately, due to technical difficulties, we will not have a guest coach, analyst, person today. Anyways, we're going to go ahead and jump into the matches. We'll start with the match between Millionaires and the Honages. We've got 5 matches this week. There's 1 forfeit. And I gotta say, before we get into it, overall we had some really good, really close matches, and I'm really excited to see how well everybody is playing and the level of competition that has grown this season, and this week is a demonstration of that. So looking at this team, I can see that it seems like Honages brought the same exact team this week. They may have changed some things up. Honestly, I can't remember, but I know it's the same 6 Mons, and that might be fine, but I'm not sure if maybe he just grabbed what he brought last week and brought it this week. But as we've seen before, though that's not a guarantee to lose, it is definitely a guarantee to have a much harder chance of winning. And it makes you more predictable, and I just wouldn't guarantee bringing the same thing each week. So other than that, I like the team. I mean, I like both sides. I'd say as far as probably the main threat on each team is Dragonite and Cloyster. Cloyster rips through Honage's team, and Dragonite puts in the work pretty well. Well, maybe not Dragonite because of those 2 ghost types. You can't get that priority. I don't know. Excadrill looks pretty good here too, but not the best. I definitely think that Millionaires have the advantage, but we'll go ahead and start it. And as you can see, he starts with the Excadrill. And I think that was a smart play because Dan loves to put up subs and set up. So going for the Iron Head to break the sub and stop him from setting up somehow. He got his rocks up, so that's good. He switches out here, which was an interesting choice. Now, the only good thing about this is that he had the opportunity to really either KO Mew or make him really weak, and Focus Blast was a really bad way to ruin that opportunity. But then he brought Encore, which was really interesting, and it ended up working out great for him. So I think that it worked out fine because he was able to disrupt that Mew. And then he starts putting in the work with Megalakazam, taking the Prankster, and right here he does take the fake out damage, which I think was the better option, was just to stay in. But he had the normal gym, which he probably didn't realize, which is why he outsped and then lost his Alakazam. So at that point, knowing the normal gym was triggered, I would have switched into either, Rotom or Torterra. But losing Alakazam meant that he was probably going to just, he was just going to lose at that point. Alakazam was one of the only ways he was going to win this. But that aside, he used Extreme Speed on Chandelure, and Chandelure's a ghost type, and Extreme Speed's a normal type move, which means it's immune, so it wouldn't have done anything. He could have taken out the Chandelure without taking so much damage. Could have set up a Dragon Dance even. But here he gets the lucky flinch and takes out the Venusaur, and at this point it's just really crazy how close it is. So that was the smart move that Millionaires needed to do, is get rid of the rocks so he could preserve the sash. He should not have switched out here. He should have gone for the Iron Head, hope and flinch, because now he gets just free kills on all of his team. The only way he could have won was if he went for Iron Head flinches, well, at least went for the first one and then went for Earthquake or something. But at that point, he didn't have what he needed in Alakazam, or what else? Or even Dragonite for that E-Speed to break the sash later. He lost his win conditions against Cloyster very early on, and I think that's why the match ended the way it did. But a 1-0 nonetheless. It was still very close, and it was a very good match. props to both teams for playing really, really well and making it a really intense match to watch. Other than that, I guess we'll go ahead and go on to the next match, which was between Felidae and the Minnesota Mux. And looking at their teams, looking at their teams, I kind of like the Beartick under the rain like he'd brought before, but I don't know. Beartick looks okay in this match, I guess. Zygarde and... Well, yeah, Zygarde's pretty scary. Mega Gyarados puts in the work. Mega Aerodactyl, unfortunately, does not like to match up against Gyarados or the Whimsicott. But other than that, I mean, both teams look pretty good. I like the Toxicroak here. What else? I don't know. I think in this matchup, I see Felidae having the better matchup at team preview. So we'll go ahead and start the match. And he leads with Whimsicott like he's done before. And it was smart of the Mux to lead with Roserade. Got some toxic spikes up, which were good. The only thing I would say about that is even though he's setting up with the rain here, which was kind of a nice play, and then he goes for Roar, which was interesting. It's a very interesting set. Rain Dance, Roar, I guess Aqua Jet and Icicle Crash or something. But I would have probably waited until the Skuntank was gone, because as soon as Skuntank comes in, the poison spikes are going to get absorbed. So, but use Toxicroak well. The only thing I would say here, and I'm going to pause it just for a second, is had the Gyarados come in and just gone for, I don't know, he probably should have just gone for Waterfalls. I know he didn't outspeed, which is probably why he went for that. But he should have gone for Waterfall. I know he thought Dry Skin means I can't use Waterfall because it's water absorbed, but with Mold Breaker it nullifies that. So had you gone for Waterfall, it would have been more than enough to just demolish. Because, I mean, looking at how much damage a resisted Crunch did was 58%. And Waterfall has either the same or higher, a little bit higher base damage, and it's not resisted. So it would have definitely KO'd in one hit. So that would have been a way not to lose Mega Gyarados, which is an important factor in the match. So it brings in Skuntank to absorb the spikes, of course. Not sure why he went for Dazzling Gleam unless he's expecting the switch, but Roserade has the advantage here. Now, he just sacked off the Whimsicott, I guess, to get an easy switch in to Mienshao, which is Calm Mind. Very interesting. Wait, what? Calm Mind, Bulk Up, Acrobatics. Was he Dark Pulse or something? I don't know. That was a weird set. But either way, he brings in the Zygarde and gets the coil off, which is a really good move. That was very lucky not to get a burn those 2 turns. And now taking a third Scald, still not getting burned, and then is able to put in the work here. Surprisingly, I know Aqua Tail is neutral and he has, well, okay, that's not surprising that it only did that much. I would have brought Dragon Claw or Outrage because of Tough Claws. Like, that would have done a lot of damage, and that definitely would have taken out Zygarde, because at this point he just sweeps the rest of his team. So had he brought that, I think it would have stopped the sweep, and I think the Mux would have won, because at this point he was definitely at the disadvantage despite sweeping. He should not have gone for Coil there because he knew Dragon Tail was a thing. So that was definitely the right move on Felidae's part, but he should have just gone for damage, because at this point he's just losing Mons for no reason, honestly. And here he's just Yeah, I don't know. I think there was just a few misplays in the middle where he could have just done damage instead of tried to set up there, and it ended up costing him the game, I think. Because I think Snorlax would have been able to outmatch, with higher HP, would have been able to outmatch Beartic and Skuntank, even if that was his last Mon, with higher, HP and stuff. So, really good match, though. I mean, it was really close. Good moves on both sides. There's just a couple things, I didn't even know until the monotypes that Mold Breaker nullifies like Water Absorb and Volt Absorb and stuff accordingly. So just keep that in mind. Make sure you know the abilities of your Pokemon, especially your Megas and the opponent's Megas, so that doesn't become a problem in the future. I think it actually cost me a tournament match or something in that season. So either way, it was a really good match. We'll go ahead and go to the next one. And it was the match between the Kentucky Krookodiles and the Cincinnati Charizards. I really like the matchup here. I think that Arcanine and Gardevoir put in the work here. Honchkrow has potential, but the Nidoqueen and the Victini and the Mega Sharpedo I think have a really strong advantage here. So the Charizards just needed to exploit that accordingly, and I think they prepped really well, and I think they also obviously played well. So we'll go ahead and go into the match. Now, I should have just gone for the Sucker Punch instead of over predicting and going for sub. I was trying to be too safe. Had I gone for the Sucker Punch, that would have been a one-shot though, and I definitely would have taken care of the Victini very early on, and that would have been really good. But I didn't, and Honchkrow is pretty much nullified. I didn't even take out the Articuno, which would have been really nice, so that he would have had to switch in later, which you'll see, rather than just being able to sack that off. And then I put spikes in and, well, tried to, and I was like, okay, well, I'll go for a defog, but I didn't expect him to be spexed, which was the only way Hidden Power was going to take me out. And I thought maybe it was Hidden Power Fire, but it ended up being Electric, so that was another mistake on my part. I just throw out a Scald because I'm hoping for a burn. Luckily I get it, and at this point I'm just thinking, okay, I need a good switch in for here because Chestnut can't do much to my team. I should have switched in here into Honchkrow because the worst case scenario I get a safe switch in into Gardevoir. But I didn't. I was nervous and trying to play super safe, and I didn't take a risk. Now here I did end up going into Gardevoir, and it worked fine, but not having hazard removal, as you see, he's just stacking and stacking, and it puts in so much pain here. So I did predict the Leech Seed and went for sub, and then I was able to put in the work with Gardevoir the way I wanted to by bringing in the Gardevoir here, going for Hyper Voice again, taking out number 2, and then he goes for Protect. I predicted that, so I went for another sub, forcing him to either sack the Sharpedo or switch out, but he goes to Articuno, and had I just done what I was supposed to in the beginning of the match, Articuno would have been the one he switched into. It would have been Nidoqueen or Victini, and whichever one that switched in would have also been the one that was lost to Gardevoir, and I would have brought him down to where he would have been a lot weaker. Now at this point I am really weakened. He gets up his rocks and I'm like, great, well, I've lost Honchkrow now. I was lucky to get another burn, not that it mattered all that much. He went for a taunt and I should have just gone for the Scald, but I wanted to safe switch into something, and so I sacked it off expecting him to go for an attack, but he ended up getting some Toxic Spikes and still living barely on 1%. And so here he just gets up the last of his Toxic Spikes, just playing it really well, and I was just trying to be passive, trying to stall it, and that's what ended up costing me the match. Was even though I had the opportunities, I played too safe. I played passively, and it ended up kicking me in the butt, and I lost my only hazard removal very early on, and so that just really hindered it, and so Sharpedo was able to just come in and sweep the rest of my team. There was just nothing I could do. So yeah, I mean, it was a really good match. He definitely played it well, where he patiently just tried to set up hazards over time while forcing me to attack him rather than trying to get up or get hazards away or whatever. And removing my only hazard removal in Skarmory early was a really smart move on his part. So even though it ended up being a 2-0, he was able to clean sweep with Sharpedo, and there was nothing I could do about it. So, yep. That was that. Good match. And we'll go ahead and go to the next one, which is the match between Wiltshire Wobbuffets and Maple Grove Gengars. Looking at the match, I like the Gengar. I don't know. I like the Gengar. I like the Gastrodon. Machamp is a good mon, but with Tentacruel, Mismagius, I'm not the biggest fan. Well, and Gliscor for that matter. Even with Ice Punch, it's still just ugh. But that aside, I really like the, let's see, Mandibuzz is a really good option here. Mismagius is pretty good. The only downside is that it gets outsped and destroyed by Gengar. Tentacruel is a really good one. And then Kyurem Black, if it, I don't remember what item it has, but Scarf Kyurem Black wrecks this team, which I guess is my biggest thing, is that they have no resistance or switch in for Kyurem Black's main moves. So we'll go ahead and jump into it. Went for the knockoff. I suppose that was a safe play. The Ice Beam crit kind of stunk there. Not that it mattered, because right now he's just stalling, I guess. He should have just gone for that Ice Beam again. But I understand. No, Toxic probably was the best play, because Ice Beam without a crit doesn't do over 50. So that was probably the best play here. And now it's just the Toxic stall on both sides. Switches into Kyurem Black. And Gastrodon switches out here. Ooh, eats that up. Was it Life Orb? Specs? I don't know. Draco Meteor comes in, does nothing to the Machamp. Gets a free Dynamic Punch Off, which means it's no guard. And it could be Assault Vest, which is why it took that so well, or it could have just been really bulky and slow. I'm not sure. But Culverberry was a nice touch there, being able to stop that knockoff. And Nightshade, because of how bulky the Gliscor is, probably wasn't the best move to go with. But so far, it just seems pretty even. Like, not, oh, that Facade did so much. But either way, I think both sides are still kind of in a gridlock. Oh, nice switch into that. So here he goes for Destiny Bond, expecting the knockoff. Not sure why he went for Destiny Bond there. If he had a Focus Sash, I guess to ensure that he would do that. But now well, okay, he went for Swords Dance. Not sure why he did Destiny Bond if he's going to have a Sash. He should have just done something else, in my opinion. Here, now he's kind of screwed because he's just going to lose it. Yeah. Good plays on Gengar's part. No, never burn a Conkeldurr. He's lucky. He is so lucky. Why did that do nothing? He's lucky that probably was Iron Fist or something and not Guts, because that should have destroyed Gengar. So never burn a Conkeldurr ever. And so that thing ended up going down. He lost Gengar, which is kind of a problem for him. But he takes out the Tentacruel. So far it's just kind of a back and forth. Yeah, Facade puts in the work. He's gonna probably win this stall. Oh, okay, yeah. He ended up, it was a trade. Toxic for Toxic. And so it's just getting really close, kind of still a back and forth. It's pretty even. He should have just gone for Dynamic Punch there. Because I don't think... Yeah, see, because of how bulky this Machamp is, he should have just gone for Dynamic Punch for the confusion. But having Heavy Slam, and like, he should have brought Ice Punch. I don't see why he didn't. Ice Punch does so much damage, if not just neutral damage to his team. Ice Punch is like a necessary thing against this team. But, oh wow, Ice Beam did not take it out. Either way, Gliscor is just hanging in there. Probably going to be able to stall it out, yeah. So, Gliscor was just too much, and he had Kyurem Black with full health in the back. But it was really close until the end. I really think Ice Punch would have put in the work. So maybe consider that next time when you're playing against something like Landorus or Gliscor or Flygon or anything that has that 4 times weakness to Ice. So, well, I guess we'll go ahead and go to the next and last match between the Richmond Rykos and Because I'm Zubatman. Really like the team that Zubatman brought. The Ditto is just absolutely scary, especially with Superior being a setup monster and Clefable being a setup monster. Just good choices all around. Even the Landorus, like, being able to take advantage of that is kind of scary. Zapdos, love Zapdos. Gonna put in the finest of work in this match, I think, as well. And Chansey is a really good ball for this team. So, I mean, I like Scizor here, but the only problem I see is that Zapdos kind of stops it from doing stuff. So, we'll go ahead and jump into the match. And this first turn was really cool. It was obviously specs, but it was a good play. You know, willing to take the rocks on the first turn to get rid of Landorus. That was a really good choice. Chansey comes in just to eat those special attacks from, what was it? Volcanion, that's the name. Just eating it up, bringing in the Thunder Wave. Oh, that's awful. And so he goes into Scizor here. I think he just pivots out. Well, he should, I should say. Yes, right. So it's not over yet. That was the right move there. But I would have probably doubled out because Chansey just walls the crap out of Superior, even at +4. It's ridiculous. Risking the paralysis was kind of iffy. I would have brought in the Clefable or, you know, Volcanion since it was already paralyzed instead of, you know, slowing down your only other, you know, hope of sweeping outside of, you know, Pinsir, of course. Pinsir's just loving the setup that it could get here. But yeah, Chansey just can eat up all of these hits right now. Even at ×4, it still does nothing. Yeah, see, it's still not even a 2-hit KO. And that means he's just going to switch here. I'm doing nothing, just absolutely nothing. That was a crit too. Oh man. No paralysis on the Chansey. That's honestly kind of silly. Lucky, but that's fine. Good match though so far. And you know, as we kind of see, he just kind of slowly breaks down this team. He's able to wall out the rest of his team that's not paralyzed pretty well. And, you know, man, those 2 Thunder Waves were huge. That really hurt his team. He really should have brought Heal Bell or something, because even just having the static on Zapdos is enough to be concerned. Glare was nice on the Superior, but I would have saved that for something else that really needed to be paralyzed. Yeah, I would have gone for Focus Blast. But, you know, see, the team's just getting continually weared down. Can't really do anything. Trying to switch around, do damage. Hippowdon just eating things up too. yeah, it's doing nothing. And with the toxic stall and paralysis on his other sweepers, he did end up getting rid of the status conditions, but here he's just going to get paralyzed again and get walled by Chansey and just slowly taken out. And then brings in the the Ditto to take out the other Mons, and then Rox just destroys the rest of his team. Oh, it's so sad. It literally destroyed the rest of his team. That's all he could have hoped for, was a paralysis at that point. But yeah, it was hard. Those rocks still being there really hurt his team at the end. But it was a good match. It was really close, like back to back. As soon as Chansey was gone, he really was kind of offbeat. But he just had a lot of bulk that the Raikos had a hard time dealing with, especially at the point that Chansey went down. So, good match on both sides. Very, very interesting to see, like, the Rocks, like, do so much at the end, I think, was the thing that stuck out to me the most. Other than that, we'll go ahead and look at the stats for this week. So we've got some people changing position on the leaderboard, with the Wobbuffets in first, Millionaires in second, really close there, just off by one differential. The Raikos in third, went down from first. Charizards, I think, are staying in fourth. They just kind of cemented their place. And then Apparitions went up from like 8th to 5th. And then Krookodiles went down, I think, from 5th to 6th. Or maybe stayed where they're at, I don't know. And then Felidae, Zubatman rose in the rank some, is tied with Felidae for 7th. The Mux, I think, stayed roughly in the same place, as did the rest, really. So, really close. It's, like I said in the beginning of the video, it just seems like this season's a lot closer. Now, despite the fact that the Krookodiles lost this week, Gardevoir is number 1 on the leaderboard this week. No big deal. Closely followed by Victini, of course. Barbarical still didn't get a kill this week. Still 3rd place on the leaderboard. Crazy. Zygarde shot up because of that sweep. Hitmonlee got a couple kills, and then everything else kind of stayed the same. Cloyster got up on the leaderboard finally, and Mega Sharpedo made an appearance this week too. So keep it up, guys. I mean, these were good matches. I'm looking forward to seeing the matches for this next week. And I know that there's going to be some really close matches, I think. Let's just look real quick before we end the video, just out of curiosity. We've got the Krookodiles versus Felidae. That's going to be a good one. Wobbuffets versus Zubatmans. That's going to be an intense one. Mux and Charizards. That's going to be a really fun match to watch. They both bring some really interesting and different stuff, so it'll be hard for them to predict one another. Parasects and Gengars will be good. Raikos and Alakazams could be really good, and Lambent Lapras and Honages could also be pretty good. The two newbies duking it out. But anyways, that's it for this week, guys. I will see you all next week. Thank you all for watching. Thanks for watching, guys. If y'all enjoyed the video, go ahead and leave a like, and if you want, subscribe for more videos. Hope to see y'all in the future, and thank you for watching.